All right, 99.9 Punk World Radio FM. You guys already know what time it is. Right here, we are actually joined by a Canadian legend this afternoon. This is actually one of the very first interviews I've done for this radio station during the afternoon. So it's more of an afternoon matinee, and we have none other than Paul Loduca. He is of the MMVA nominated amazing band Neverest. How are you doing this afternoon?
Thank you so much for having me, man. I'm great. Thank you. Very nice to meet your face. Appreciate it.
Nice to meet you as well. Obviously, I've watched your music videos many times, but it's good to actually meet the man himself in the flesh.
Thanks, man. Those are a long time ago, those music videos, but I'm glad they're still kicking.
I gotta say, they definitely are. I even noticed the views are actually going up as well. I think one of your guys' music video is, I think, 1.8 million, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think that's our everything video, which was a huge milestone for us as well at the time. It hit 1 million, I think, within a couple weeks or something of us releasing it.
And also, Paul, I know you're a very busy individual, so I'm not going to take you away from your afternoon too long, but I got to take you back to the beginning of your amazing music career, and of course, the beginning of Neverest as well. What is the story behind this band? And of course, how did you guys actually meet and come together to form what we now know today as Neverest?
Spee, the singer, and the original guitarist, Mike Close, were already a band working with our producer. His name is Mike Kiofos, and he was also the head of our label and everything. He kind of were developing these guys for many years. I was in other bands and recording with them, but I had been recording with Mike Kiofos, and he played. Can you hear me still? Sorry,
I can hear you great. Yeah,
I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
I can hear you great. Yeah, I'm just
Okay.
just listening.
Okay, cool. Anyways, yeah. So we basically knew the same producer, and the producer played me a song, one of our songs called "Blame Me," which was like the demo track of that. And it was the first time that I heard our singer Spee really hear his chops, and he was incredible. And something kind of came over. I was recording guitars for my previous band at the time, and something kind of came over me to be ask him, why don't you guys throw me in there? I had known him for 3 years, but I had never met the guys at Neverest yet. He was like a mentor to me for 3 years, this Mike guy, and when I heard the songs, I wanted in, and I basically jumped on bass. I'm a guitarist first, and none of us were singers before Neverest became Neverest. But I jumped on bass. I learned 6 songs. They were looking for a bassist, so there was a spot opening. And I met the guys, and the chemistry was amazing. And we kind of just went from there. I took a leap of faith, joined the band. And there was nothing, anytime that you're going to release to radio or join a band, there's nothing ever guaranteed. The only thing that we knew was that Howie D of the Backstreet Boys was going to be one of our managers. And that we had a record label being built around us. So it was a very unique situation. And we pretty much just started learning how to sing together. We went from not being singers at all to being known for our 4-part harmonies. And that's because we had a great team to work with. We had all ex-boy bands. We had Howie D. We had Levi, who was from Distinct Nature back in the day. And then we had CJ, who was on the team, who was also part of 3D. These are all big 90s boy bands, right? And had so we learned. We taught ourselves, we taught each other, and we worked our butts off for 6 months straight before we released About Us, which was our debut single. And leading up to that point, that's just kind of how we bonded. We got to know each other, and it was all laughter, man. We had a great time playing, and we just, there was a love there right away.
And obviously, you said you could.
So that's how it started.
And when you said as well, you actually perfected this for 6 months straight. If you don't mind me asking, man, because honestly, you guys said you weren't singers whatsoever. What actually went into perfecting that? Because if you put in your guys' debut album and listen to it even today after hearing this interview, you'll still be like, wow, these guys are freaking talented. What went into actually getting you guys to actually perfect your guys' harmony?
Thanks, man. Like I said, we had a great team around us who had already specialized in harmonies, and we really learned how to find that melt, as you say. Like it's like butter. Like we do exercises like standing at four corners of the room, closing our eyes and singing our individual parts, and trying to really listen to each other and finding where we would sit properly with each other until it felt just right. And we became a superpower like that because our acapella was our strongest trait after that. So we would be singing happy birthdays, happy new year, whatever you got to do. All of our songs, acapella, whether it was with acoustic or guitars or not. But I think our specialty and why people really took to us was because we did do a lot of acoustic performances. So yeah, the album is that prim and polished sound, but we really shined in the acoustic acapella aspect of it all. So you could really we proved that we were the real deal. We could play our own instruments. We could sing. We could sing 4-part harmonies. We had a Backstreet Boy on the team, and we were nice guys. Not to not to sound cocky or anything. We really appreciated what we had. We knew we had already been on the scene for years trying to get signed. So we really knew what we had. We weren't going to be the typical band like most bands, drug addicts, alcoholics, just squandering the opportunity and the platform they had. And just, that was not us. And that's what was refreshing about us at that time, because, the typical rock star, even from the 90s, they're pretty much all assholes. You know what I mean? For us, we were grateful. We were humbled by the fact that people actually liked us and our music and what we were doing. And then from the beginning, like I said, our debut song was about us, and we kind of came out like, where did these guys come from? Like we went across the country with a bus with our faces on it, like totally like we had no business doing that, but that was part of the push. And we went to every radio station with Howie across the country to play for them and their crew, to try to get them to add the song, to put it in rotation. And they saw that we were singing. We were playing live for them. We were singing live for them. Then we had a prim and polished music video, which was with RT, who was one of the biggest Canadian directors at that time. And we proved our worth, and they took a chance on us. And then About Us blew up. It went to top 12 in a short while, and the music video went to #1, fan voted. And this is at the time where there was no One Direction. One Direction didn't debut for another 2 years after our debut. So there was a good time for this kind of like rock boy band kind of vibe. We all came from rock backgrounds. And believe it or not, we're all heavy metal guys, all of us. And we love, but we still love, Mike. We grew up on Michael Jackson. We love Bruno Mars and Chris Cornell, and like we just had a very diverse background. And we were happy playing the pop music that we had decided to go that route with. So there were a lot of factors brought it together.
And obviously, at the very beginning, you guys were managed by Howie D of the Backstreet Boys. But just going into that for a little bit, because obviously, I know you briefly said how you guys got connected. He was assigned to you guys and whatnot. But what was it like just traveling the world, not only with your manager Howie D, but also with New Kids on the Block and Backstreet Boys? So I do know that, if I'm not mistaken, that was actually one of your guys' first world tours.
There for a second, buddy. You asked about New Kids on the Block and Backstreet, right?
Backstreet Boys, yeah, the New Kids on the Block Backstreet Boy World Tour.
Yeah, so we were very fortunate. We went we did a tour with Stereos first. That was our first tour ever. Great guys, and that kind of led us in. So we're playing like 1,000 seaters, 3,000 seaters, and then our very next tour was the NKOT BSB tour with Backstreet Boys and New Kids on the Block, that big mashup tour, and that was enormous for us. Like our dreams were coming true. I'd always dreamt of playing to sold out arenas, especially in my town. Are you from Toronto?
I'm from the Ottawa area, so around Brockville, so kind of in between.
Nice. Well, we grew up, wanting to play the biggest arenas here in our town and across the country, and we were able to do that with Backstreet and New Kids, and they were so very kind and warm and welcoming with us. And this is not bullshit. This is like exactly how they were. I'm not just saying it to make it sound good. Like they were really great with us, and and we were playing. We were doing a 15-minute set opening up for them. About Us was the hottest song around at that time. We were one of the, I mean, one of the biggest bands in Canada on radio at the time. One of the biggest new bands, and it really helped. It really helped our momentum, and it was amazing. You know, it's great to be able to talk to Howie and get some advice on, you know, how to deal with the big shows, the big stage, and, you know, because you're playing to the people in the 500 level, you know, and it's you know, presence on stage is what we prided ourselves with. So we did not have an issue in that capacity, but we really soaked it up for everything it was worth. I was the oldest in the band, so when the band kind of debuted, I was 25, 26, and because I was that age, I had actually grown up with the New Kids on the Block. Some of the other guys were younger, so they didn't really grow up in that phase. New Kids on the Block were the original, like, Backstreet Boys craze, right? So, and my first concert, I was 5 years old when I went to the Sky Dome here in Toronto to see New Kids on the Block. I had older girl cousins, so they loved it. It was like the biggest thing ever. So we all just went. My mom brought us and everything. So we were, you know, for me, 25 years later, or 20 years later from that moment, to be opening up for them I was beside myself. It was such an enormous, bigger than I could ever imagine dream come true, you know. And so it was very nostalgic and very, like, centering and, like, just amazing for me personally to be experiencing that and knowing how far I had come and how hard I had worked to get to those moments, because like, we got to soak everything up. We got to play so many shows with them that each show that went by, we kind of got to slow it down a little bit more. So, and what I mean by slow it down, I mean, like, really be in the moment and soak it up, and you know, like, live there with the fans that were there watching us, you know, and to hear people singing back the words to our song for a brand new band, that was enormous in itself. So probably one of the best times in my life, doing that with New Kids in Backstreet. And then we also did the German tour. We did 12 dates here in Canada, and then 6 months later, we did like 3 weeks with them in Germany, and that was incredible as well. That was our first international, like, flight and everything with them, international tour at all. You know, that was the first time we did that.
And obviously, being a Canadian band from Toronto and whatnot, how did the German fans actually perceive your guys' music? Did they actually love it, or did they have to grow with it for a little bit?
They were actually almost more welcoming than Canada was in the first place, and it was amazing. They
I
had
actually
signs
heard that
up
as
for
well.
us the first time that we had seen that. That about the signs?
No, that's what I just heard about Germany just being like that. Like, overseas, new bands always get love from overseas before their home country. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the Backstreet Boys, they got big, I want to say, in the United Kingdom and Canada before even the US.
Yeah, your pop history there, that's for sure. Backstreet started in Germany, did 2 years of that, the grassroots thing. They did exactly what we did, where they just went to every radio station only and performed a cappella, you know, singing the 5-part harmonies that they were singing. And then Montreal was the first in North America to break them. The States, as always, they were the last to accept it. Their own people, you know what I mean? And it's kind of crazy. I guess that kind of happens in Canada too, but it's like, in Canada, you got to go out, you know, you got to get signed in the States before anybody cares about you here. It seems like that sometimes. But now we have the biggest names in the world from Toronto, from Ontario. You know what I mean? The Weeknd, Bieber, fucking who else? You know, so many, so many that I'm getting even thinking. Avril Lavigne, you got your Nickelbacks. There's so many things, so many bands, so many artists. You know, Toronto's on the map in amazing ways. But yeah, Canada was the first to break that, and that's why in Montreal, they were the warmest welcome for us, because they love Backstreet. They're part of their inception here in North America, and the fact that Howie was supporting us and saying that we were his band was a big deal, and they embraced us with open arms. Virgin Radio in Montreal was the #1 radio support in the whole country, and they played every single one of our radio singles. We had about 8 radio singles that we released, and they played every single one of them religiously. Toronto only supported really for 2 or 3. The rest of the country kind of supported here and there, but it still helped us. I mean, we still became one of the household names of the bands of that era, which was amazing for us. We got a good 6-year career out of it, of our wildest dreams coming true. So it was amazing.
And also, as well, as I mentioned during the intro to this interview about the MMVA, the Much Music Video Awards, you guys
Yeah.
were actually nominated, if I'm not mistaken, for your guys' song, Everything. I was wondering if you can actually just tell us a bit more about that day. And of course, what was it like actually just attending the MMVAs and just seeing your name actually come up on that screen?
It was amazing. I mean, of course, you're going to hear everybody say it was amazing. For me, I had grown up, like I was 15, 16 years old, walking by the Much Music building, dreaming one day my band's going to be in there. We're going to be performing in there, that kind of vibe. But to be at the MMVAs, we were fortunate that every single year, even when we weren't nominated, we were invited to be there and walk the carpet and even present. And to be nominated for our second single in the music video there was amazing, because that music video was special to us too. It was the first time that we got to go to LA to shoot something. I'd always dreamt of doing that too. So we went with RT, the same director from the first, and we kind of shot it as like a branding video. Like, this is where you kind of get to know, kind of who we are in the band. And I love that, because we were branded properly, just like the Backstreet Boys were. Everyone knew who every single Backstreet Boy was. It wasn't just about Brian, let's say, or Nick. There were more popular ones, of course, but in the end, you knew who every single Backstreet Boy was. It's not like in a typical rock band or a typical pop band, you only know who the singer is. This wasn't just Spee's band. And I kind of always hated that about music and about bands. Like, why does the singer get all the attention as well? Everyone's equally busting their ass to build this thing. It's something that's, like Maroon 5. We only know Adam Levine. Why? You know what I mean? The whole band is part of. So that's what I loved about our band, that we were actually branded in a certain way and showcased for our personalities and, how fun-loving we could be and were with each other. And that's how we were with our fans as well. We were grateful for all of it, and they got to know us as a band, not just Spee, not just the songs. It became like a family, as we would call it. So it was amazing to be nominated. We didn't win, but what we did win was we did win Best New Group for that year, and we won Best New, I think it was radio, top radio group or something like that as well. So we were fortunate to still be winning awards and be put out there in that way. But just to be a part of the MMVAs in any way was amazing enough for us.
I still wish they'd bring back the MMVAs, man. I don't know. I know how when Bell Media took over Much Music, they definitely took the legacy and kind of just threw it in the toilet. But I hope one day something like that will come back, because I really think that was really good, not only for Canadian music culture, but for amazing artists and bands like yourselves.
Oh, I agree with you though, man. Much Music, there was nothing like Much Music. Not even MTV. I mean, like, Much Music, I remember, like, you just had to get wristbands to go and see your favorite band. You get to meet them and be there with them. You know what I mean? It was a thing. The 90s were the best for music.
I
Music
agree. Yeah.
because they had the biggest bands in the world, the biggest rock. I'm a huge Korn fan. They had big bands like Korn, Limp Bizkit, Slipknot, and they had Britney Spears and Backstreet and NSYNC. All of them were there with you. Like, you just got to go and chill with them. You get a wristband, you get to go and be in there and be in the environment. They were all the biggest things at the same time. Radio was playing all kinds of stuff, and it was a nice, diverse situation. Now today, it's all hip hop, just hip hop, and that's the biggest thing. Okay, sure, you have your Taylor Swifts and your Shawn Mendes and stuff, cool, but in the end, it's still not as diverse as it was. And yeah, they took away, like you said, the spirit of it. Like there's no magic anymore. Then it was magic, and you got to be a part of it. And the MMVAs were cool because you're on the street and you're a part of it. There's something so raw about it, and that's what I love compared to like the Grammys. You know what I mean? Or the MTV Awards. Let's say that's better. It was just so much more intimate, I found. And yeah, you're right. Bell Media took over and they ruined everything. They weren't showing music videos anymore. Everything was shut down. Now it was just shows, right? They were following the MTV method. And that sucks, because that was a really great time for all artists in the industry.
And one of the last questions I have is pertaining to Neverest. On May 11th of 2019, you guys actually released the amazing 19-track album titled The Lost Tracks. I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about this album, and of course, where were these lost tracks actually from? Like, were they from your previous albums, or was this supposed to be an album that unfortunately never got to see the light of day until 2019?
Yeah, that's exactly, the lost tracks are called the lost tracks for that reason specifically. They were always tracks that we were working on that we wanted to release. That album is probably the most personal album to us, because especially to Spee and I, being the two original members, uh, and we just weren't allowed to release them. You still end up with industry politics. You're always working on music, and then you got to wait for the right time to release. And if radio doesn't pick this up, then we can't release. There's all kinds of politics that get in the way. And what was so freeing and amazing about the 2019 reunion show is we also did it with Stereos, who was it was their 10-year anniversary, and we did our first tour with them. So it was only fitting they asked us to be a part of it. We were honored to be, and it was sold out here in Toronto. And we released it from the stage, the Lost Tracks. That was the surprise for our fans. It was only a one-time thing. It was only meant to be a one-time thing. But those songs, if nobody knows about them, like, they're the most important to us. And they're great songs, well written, like, very personal lyrically. And they are there are songs on there that even we were performing but weren't allowed to release officially. So we were performing some of these live during our run, but we weren't able to, like. So it's a lot of bittersweet emotions and moments, just thinking about that, because all those tracks were something that we wanted to release for a long time. And there's way more than 19, I could tell you that much. So we just, whatever 19 we put on there, we thought were the, some of the best, but there's still so many that we really liked and would have loved to release, because we never got to really release a full album. We only released the EP. In our whole 6-year career, we weren't allowed to release singles. We released singles after. So we released a song called Rewind, which we shot like an action movie for, one of my favorite music videos ever. Take Cover, Starlight, and Someday. Those were all the newest singles that were released with our two new guys, Greg and Mikey, when they came into the band. Rewind was the debut of our new, like, Neverest 2.0, if you will.
And when you just mentioned a few moments ago how there actually is much more tracks still in the vault, I do know if I don't ask this question, a lot of the Neverest fans are going to be like, why didn't you ask it? So I got to capitalize for the fans, man. Do you think down the road you guys actually might release like the Lost Tracks Volume 2 or 2.0 and kind of let the fans actually hear what you guys actually got locked away in the vault?
You know what? I would love to. I don't even know if they have some of those songs still in the database, but a lot of fans, believe it or not, just because we didn't have the same radio traction that we did so many years ago, they don't even know that we have the Lost Tracks out. So those Lost Tracks are, if anything, to promote that would be, the best thing for our true fans to get a hold of, because, like I said, it's the most personal stuff to us, and we love those songs. We love them. There's great tracks on those songs. There are radio singles on that album that unfortunately couldn't get to radio. So it's, like I said, it's bittersweet. As far as another reunion goes, there's nothing on the horizon at this moment, right? We were lucky because the 2019 thing happened just before the pandemic, so we were able to get that all out and have a nice sold out place for a reunion show, and then after that, we wouldn't have been able to tour anyways if we were going to do anything with that album. So, and it's difficult as an artist now. I know it's, I'm not trying to dampen the spirit of anything, but the reality is it's very difficult to make a living as an artist, even when you have all of the success that we did. People don't pay for music. They pay to go to shows, and if you're not on the right bill, you're not touring with the right bands, you're not making money. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is, because it still comes down to, we're people too. We got to be able to pay our bills. You know what I mean? And musicians, in the end, they get the shit end of the stick. So, everything else is is a facade for most things. Okay, when you not
Yeah.
from us, not from our side of things, but when you hear about a new artist coming out and they're all like blinging out and they're walking the red carpets and shit, they're not. They're struggling. They're still struggling. You know what I mean? And it's not like you're the Weeknd and Drake now. You know what I mean? That's not. Those are sell your soul types of situations. I'm sure, but it's still something that is difficult for a lot of artists. Even when they have a huge single out, they got to be able to provide another huge single and another huge single after that. And if they're not touring, nobody really cares. And that's unfortunate, right? But this day and age with social media and TikTok, it's made it a lot easier to build your own platform, And like even now, I don't even know if you know what, no, but after the band, like I reinvented myself entirely. I built a comedy brand. And I'm an actor, and I'm a voice actor now, and I do like a lot of I have viral success for the past 7 years now with my comedy platforms, TikTok, Instagram, you name it. And that's not everybody comes along. A lot of Neverest fans aren't fans of the comedy, and now I'm actually more well known for my comedy than I am for the band stuff. So it's very interesting that people can only really accept you as one thing at a time, but really as an artist, you do everything. And that's why it's so important to have the support that you do from the true supporters. I don't even like saying the word fans. It's just a true supporter of what you do, because in the end, if I'm not doing something that brings value to your life, then and vice versa, then it's not going to be a working relationship, even if it's a fan to celebrity relationship. You know what I mean? Music brings value, comedy brings value. And it brings value in the ways that I'm a fan of stuff. My favorite artists and their music helped me through so many moments of my life that it's forever in my heart. So that's value. That's an escape. That's with the stresses of the real world, it's something that's very important. And that's why people like you, like I appreciate that you're doing this, that you have a show like this, that you're even having people on from our era of things. Like that's I appreciate you, man. I'm grateful for your support and the fact that you actually were into our stuff. So thank you very much.
Hey man, you're most certainly welcome. Honestly, this is actually kind of a dream of mine. I've always wanted to be in radio, and just being able to interview individuals like yourselves and like Red Jumpsuit Apparatus and Sum 41. It is kind of like a dream come true for me, man, just to be able to do what I do. So thank you so much, man, for just giving me a bit of your time. But I do know a few moments ago you actually mentioned your sketch comedy. But I also know as well that you actually co-directed, co-wrote, edited, and also starred in the award-winning production titled Shotgun. I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about this production short film, and of course, where can we actually check it out if we haven't already done so?
You can. Thank you for bringing that up. That's you can check it out on my YouTube channel. It'll be Paul Loduca Comedy. It's also on IMDb, so you can find it. But it's that's something that we prepared for 6 months for. It's just a short. It's a comedy short. It's only like a minute and a half long, but there's actually like an international film festival. Well, in international film festivals, there are places for shorts like this, and we were nominated and we won. And that was something that I edited the whole thing and for the sound effects and everything. And it's fight choreography. So it's stuff that I grew up loving. And it's very relatable and it's fun and silly and yeah, man, it made a mark. It left an impression enough to help me even with my businesses moving forward. I also edit and direct and write. So everything that I did in Neverest, everything that I do in comedy, acting, even voice acting, it's all opened up more doors for me to be, the most, as well-rounded as an artist as I can be, from behind the scenes to on camera. So there's a lot of great moments that come from things like that.
And I also saw recently on your Instagram that you actually released a commercial that you actually did for an amazing company. If you don't mind me asking, because obviously, how can individuals actually go about, booking you to actually help promote their brand? Because I got to say, watching that, it actually gave me the vibe of something you see on a primetime television station, man. Like that was a well-rounded advertisement.
Thank you. Which commercial are you talking about?
It was the one where like I forget exactly what brand it was. 'Cause I'm just going off. I don't have it written in my book. It's when you're talking and someone's like you push yourself out on the office chair into the room and then you're standing there and someone's like putting makeup on you and whatnot.
Yeah. I mean, things like that. I produce myself as well. Not that one specifically. That was through my agent. I have an agent do things like that. But again, you can always anyone who's looking to have their voiceovers or a voiceover done for their brand or business, even if you're an animator and you're looking for voices for your cartoons, like that's the main thing that I'm working towards is animated movies and animated series, video games. I love that stuff, and that's part of what I do now. So you can just contact me. It's Paul Loduca Voice at gmail.com, or you can find me on Instagram, whether it's my name, Paul Loduca Comedy, Paul Loduca Voice. You'll find me, and you can just reach out about anything in that sense. And yes, I have an agent that helps me land bigger commercials for the networks and things like that. But like my own production business is still something that I have to build my own productions for people and businesses and brands. And I've been doing that for 7 years since the band officially had to stop back in 2016. We did the reunion show in 2019, but in the end, it's helped me launch everything that I do now. So.
And I have to ask, what is next for yourself, Paul Loduca, man? Is there anything we happen to miss during this afternoon's interview? Anything else you still want to touch on, talk about, or promote? We still got you here live on the radio station airwaves.
Oh no, thanks, man. I honestly, I follow me on Instagram. It's just my name, Paul Loduca. All my other links are through that page as well. And yeah, the voiceover thing is a big thing. So if you're looking for voiceovers, you can contact me. And if you want to just talk music in general, I'm always happy to do that because I can talk forever about that stuff. And yeah, I'm working on my own shows, things like this that I'm trying to build for myself as well. So hopefully there'll be new news about my own show, whether it be animated or live and in person. So working on all of it.
And I got to say, first and foremost, Paul, thank you so much for just giving not only myself, but the radio station airwaves a bit of your time here. Oh, my apologies. I was just saying, thank you so much in advance. Thank you so much, Paul, for just giving us a bit of your time here this afternoon, man. It was such an honor to speak with you and just, learn more about the band that I grew up listening to, man. It was such an honor to speak with you. I hope down the line we can make this happen again sometime soon. But for now, definitely have yourself a kick-ass day.
I appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate your support. Thank you.
Hey, you're most certainly welcome, Paul. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good one.